Even with all the money in the world, even to enjoy the money and success you have to have health. Health is not something, is not negotiable. Health is the key to be present for your kids when they need you. Is to be there for your wife, when she needs help. It's like you can have the most beautiful wife. If you're gonna die tomorrow, she's gonna marry somebody else. I bet if people saw it this way, they would be running, and there'll be a line so big by my gym that we wouldn't be able to take as many customers as we could. Because people would understand that it's kind of like, yeah, man, health is unnegotiable. Because there's no tomorrow. You gotta start today.
Welcome back to The Real Grind, guys, the place where we talk about real estate and we sip on the best cup of
coffee.
Let's go. Italo, I have a question for you, man. Do you consider yourself as a black belt coffee specialist?
Oof. I want to say a black belt. That comes with a lot of years of experience. But I would say I call myself like a purple.
Brown. I'm brown.
Purple to brown. I'm graduating.
Brown with a few stripes, maybe.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Today's an episode. We're gonna have this amazing guy. He's actually a dear friend of mine, and he's about to give you put you to sleep maybe. But I don't want to spill the beans, but let's get the show started.
Waking up to success, now we're getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on gourmet coffee, the real grind. This is the real grind. Let's go.
All right, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt since 2015, super heavyweight world champion. He's my friend and the owner and founder of Cobra BJJ. Welcome on stage, Eddie Ricardo. Let's go! Let's go! What's up, coach?
How you doing, man?
Bro, man.
How you been?
You have no idea how happy my heart is right now to have you here. Sit down, brother.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. How you been?
Fuck, coach,
Good?
it's been great. It's awesome, man.
I love the place here, man.
Thank you.
Have a great thing going on. We got your own barista here.
Nah, he's more than a barista. He's almost a black belt as a talker. This guy became a monster, dude.
Really?
We tried coffee for the first time.
He's a big guy, man. Why don't you put him to do jiu-jitsu, man?
Hey, we're going to do this after the fact. I've been talking about it.
Okay.
And today's, guys, we're going to share with you how this guy right here changed my life personally. And I can't wait to share. But, bro, it's not about me. It's about you.
All right.
Where are you from? Let's talk about your beginnings here, brother.
All right. So many of you guys don't know, but I'm friends with Neander even before I could stalk, right? So our parents were friends back in Brazil. And at one point, I think they live in a different state called Belo Horizonte. I was born in São Paulo City.
Yeah.
But they were living there together. And I think there are pictures of us playing and everything when we couldn't even talk.
I know.
So there's a connection there that goes beyond even our understanding or choices.
Absolutely.
Right?
We just knew that after the fact that I was living here. My dad, we used to be, know each other in Brazil. And it's like, obviously, we went to the same church and we.
That's right. So, Neander, I always kind of look up to you. I never told you that, but I remember I always liked music and I used to play the guitar. And when they were like, hey, man, do you know Neander? That guy learned the saxophone in 3 months. I was like, man, get out of here.
Shut up.
I was like, there's no way. There's no way somebody's going to learn saxophone in 3 months. They're like, no, man. And it was somebody reputable, right? Somebody that he was like, he learned in 3 months. I'm telling you. And I was like, all right. I believe it when I see it. And when I saw it, man, I was like, oh my gosh, he really did learn. I knew how smart you were since you were young and how talented you were. But I didn't know what I didn't know is that you're going to be good in jiu-jitsu too.
Bro, no, man, absolutely not. It's all because of a good mentor. I often hear in the show, Eddie, we talked about a lot about real estate, but also we often comes to a point that everybody that sits on the chair is going to come down and say, I had a mentor. Mm-hmm. I have somebody that was a pivotal moment in my life. And that was a pivotal moment for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I even get emotional. Like at the time of my life, I was in a dark place of my own emotions. I didn't know how to manage all that.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And when I did jiu-jitsu, it created a channel that will release some of that pressure by being not just mentally challenged, but physically challenged.
Sure. So you knew you had the intellect, but you thought maybe physicality, maybe you were not sure about what your body could do.
100%.
And as you start doing it and you see for yourself, because it's one thing when your parents say, hey, you can do this, you can do that, but when you see with your own hands and with your own eyes, and you know, just a quick introduction of jiu-jitsu, right? The martial arts that we are talking about. If you play football, the goal is to get a touchdown. If you play soccer, the goal is to get a goal. In jiu-jitsu, our goal is to submit the other person. That means we make the person surrender. So through jiu-jitsu moves, through body moves, we got to put them either a chokehold. We call it tap, snap, or nap. So the person either tap out, that means they surrender, or something gets broken, or the person passes out. There's only three. There's only three options. And I know it sounds really aggressive, but once you start doing it, it's actually the opposite of aggressiveness. In our field, we say real friends choke each other out, which is kind of weird and crazy, but we are really careful with each other's body because we know how dangerous a move can be. So through learning the art, you actually become more careful than you were if you didn't know the art.
100% more aware and more in control.
Yes.
More emotional. But talked about you. How'd you get started in jiu-jitsu? Was that something that since you were little, or how'd you get into it?
So Neander, you know my brother, right?
Yeah.
My brother was, I guess, my biggest hero. And my brother, when we were he was 7 years old, I was 4 years old. My mom put us in karate just to learn or whatever. We never thought we were going to be doing this as a profession. But I remember, man, this school was a really hardcore school. This guy was as traditional as he gets, hitting us with, bamboo sticks and stuff.
Like Mr. Miyagi style.
Like like for you to have an idea, man, I was 4 years old. And the warm up, we would put our gis, just like this uniform that I'm wearing here, also known as kimono. And they used to go around the block, and now to warm up, you guys gonna run 2 miles. But maybe it was more than, but I was 4 years old. And my brother, I know my brother could keep up with the other people, but he held back, and I remember this because I'm still grateful for him because he waited for me.
Really?
But all the kids, we were running around the neighborhood and stuff. And man, I got back to the thing, and the guys like, okay, now we're going to start the class. I was like, I'm dying, man. That was my first class. And I was 4 years old. But my teacher was so intimidating that he was like, he would talk really loud, and he taught us how to say the Japanese words that I know to this day. Ichi, ni, san, shi, go, ro, sex, ha, kyo, jo. And that was counting to 10, and everything had to be in Japanese. But he was so intimidating, man, that I would, sometimes I would be so afraid of asking to go to the bathroom that I would pee myself. So my nickname became Little Faucet. That's how I started in martial arts. So we were doing martial arts, karate for a long time. Then I transitioned into Capoeira, which was a Brazilian martial art that I like because, man, Capoeira is about showing off, right? So I wanted to show off to the girls and stuff. When you're not really good looking, I know you don't have that problem, but when you're not really good looking, you have to learn how to do backflips, and you got to jump around like
you just play saxophone.
Yeah. So,
you know what I'm saying?
I was like,
we all got to leverage whatever skill set God give us, my man. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, I mean, I was trying to... One of my favorite things to do was put my foot on the wall and do a backflip because I knew this was the showstopper.
Yeah. So
if you wanted to get some attention, when you're not too good looking, you got to get attention somehow. I was the class clown and stuff, so that was my game. That was my hustle. That was my grind.
It was the grind. and the jiu-jitsu was here in the United States.
No. I started. They have kind of like, it was you know how they have those programs, YMCA and stuff?
Yeah.
So they had
like
one of
gym.
those YMCAs in São Paulo, and they offer Capoeira, they offer Jiu-Jitsu, and I started training there too. But, it wasn't like love at first sight. It wasn't like, I did some classes and stuff, but Capoeira would give me more props. It wasn't that I really knew how to fight, but, I wasn't
It was an
really
instant
fighting.
gratification.
It was
kind of
instant
thing.
gratification. That's exactly right. And I feel like
Not instant,
I don't
but
know if I could do
faster.
more because I've been doing for 28 years.
Yeah.
But it's like, but that's where I started. And I don't even count those years because I was probably 9 years old. I started counting from 12. So 12, I'm 41 right now. So 29 years of jiu-jitsu.
Wow, that's amazing, dude.
16 going to 17 years of black belt.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's incredible, dude. That's fucking awesome. And when you started the jiu-jitsu here, when you started as a hobby, of course, and what did you want to be when you grow up? Do you have other ambitions
no, it
of
was as a
professional or something?
No, it was just for fun. It was really for fun. I was like, well, kind of back
What did you want to be when you grow up?
In the back, well, my father kind of had a kind of company. It was called it was a sensor company,
Yeah.
automation company, that he used to sell these sensors to factories where, let's say, there is like this cup factory right here. So as the cup
I
passes
still
by,
remember the name.
yes,
Centronix.
There you go. So we used to always go to his factory. There was a lot of people there working, and I was like, well, one day I'm gonna be running this thing. And
Yeah.
so I used to do computer classes and do all these things necessary to English classes to be able to run his company. That I thought that was gonna be the future. Never in my mind did I ever think that I was gonna be doing martial arts for a living.
Wow, man. And then what was the pivotal moment that you was like, now this is something that
I
I
was
wanted
doing
to do?
even as a hobby, and I wasn't very good. Yeah, in the beginning, I wasn't very good. But me and my brother, we just love it. Me and my brother, at one point,
Became super passionate.
yes, we were so passionate. I remember, I think at 18 years old, I was delivering pizzas for Pizza Hut here, and I remember that I used to. Sometimes I would be hurt, and I would be going upstairs, maybe to the third floor to deliver a pizza and stuff. And I would be crying, not because I wasn't getting any tips or the people that live on the third floor doesn't tip. Because they're already bad situation themselves. How are they going to tip you? So it was more because I was hurt and I couldn't go to training the next day. Because that was what I liked to do.
Right.
So I noticed that I was like, man, I really love this thing. And then as I would go compete, I didn't know about weight cutting. A lot of these people, they come from a wrestling background where they cut a lot of weight. Weight cutting means like you dehydrate yourself. You go into a sauna or you take diuretics and you cut a lot of water weight. And then after you weigh in, you go fight. So I didn't know this. So I was fighting people always much bigger than me. And I came up to my teacher. I was like, hey, man, how come every time I go fight somebody, I know they're the same weight as me because we all got to get weight in. How come they're much bigger? And he was like, oh, because they're cutting weight. I was like, oh, okay, that explains a lot, but it didn't matter because I was like, I'm gonna show them that I loved. It wasn't about beating them. It was about showing that I love jiu-jitsu more than they love jiu-jitsu.
That's powerful, man. Like when you discipline, I think it's everything. When you do something that you love, it was the same thing with the saxophone. I know that you brought up in the beginning, but it's what differentiates me that I was practicing, not because I was obligated to. It's because I really wanted to play, and I loved it, man. And that. When you devote your time, they said, how much is that? The 10,000 hour rule?
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours became, good at it, what you do. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The profession was a different story, but
Yes,
for me,
yes.
but I remember one time after I started doing jiu-jitsu with you, first of all, I shared my belief system because, I had a heart condition when I was small and younger, and everybody said, you're never going to be able to do sports.
Yes.
And I had this mindset of my entire life. That's how I grew up, and I thought that's how it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So when I started jiu-jitsu, I was afraid because I never done anything like this before. I never played soccer. I kind of played, but not to that extent. Yes. And then,
would you call it a disempowering belief?
100%. And that's why today I often talk even to my kids, man. Don't fucking. Like when we dictate who we are, when we manifest those things actually become true. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So we have to manifest the other opposite way. Like, how can I do it? How can I figure it out? Right. So and then I started doing jiu-jitsu and I was just getting my ass kicked from everybody, girls, guys, skinny guys, younger guys, older guys. And I was like, and to the point I talked to, I was like, Coach, I think I'm done, man. This is not for me. And then he was like, hey, wait, I'm going to work a workshop in Oklahoma City. Come with me. And then I came.
Yes.
But because I went a different scenario, a different gym, I was kicking ass. Mm-hmm. And that was the pivotal moment for me that I was like, shit, this is actually it's cool, man, because
Yes.
like I you remember
Yes.
that?
Yes, I do remember. I remember everything about it. Well, see, so I didn't talk. I kind of went over all on top of the jujitsu and stuff, but when it comes to your journey, right? Nobody told me you had a heart. It was my brother. One time that I remember, I put you to train with some tough guys, and my brother pulled me to the side, and he was like, "Hey, Eddie, let me tell you something. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you're expecting a lot from the under, but let me tell you something. He got a heart condition and stuff, and he wasn't even able to. He couldn't even go roller coasters and stuff. I was like, this is not a roller coaster. And I knew my brother thought I was a maniac and stuff. But I knew inside of my heart that I was like, well, I understand that we have limitations. And I understand that certain things, especially when it comes to health things, we have to be really respectful to the person. But the thing is, it's kind of like, I cannot let Neander know that I'm being careful with him, because otherwise he's gonna start behaving in a different way. I need to treat Neander as he's just like anybody else. As a matter of fact, because he's my friend, I'm gonna expect more out of him than the people that that I just met. So when I told you this thing, I was like, once Neander sees the way I look at him and he sees what I see, everything's gonna change. So I knew that, and those guys in Oklahoma, you gotta understand what Oklahoma is. Oklahoma is almost the number one place of wrestling in the whole United States.
Really?
They say that if you start wrestling at 5 years old in Oklahoma, you already start late, because that's their sport. They don't have any other sport. They have football and wrestling. There's only two things, but wrestling is really big. As a matter of fact, the coach from Oklahoma, he's the Olympic wrestler for the United States. He's the number one guy, the guy named John Smith.
Oh wow.
So OU is really known for their wrestling, and they get the big guys. You saw those guys are big. But once you saw that it didn't matter how big they were because you had the technique, then you're like, man, I can do this. And I remember you going to the tournaments, and it's kind of like you didn't have to think too much about it. Sometimes we make these monsters and we make things up in our heads that it's kind of like when a kid says, "Hey, Daddy, I saw a monster here in my closet," and you say, "No, just go back to sleep." But if you actually go there and pretend there is a monster and stuff, they may, okay, he made sure. You know what I mean? I was like, you never told me that you had a heart condition, but I went there and I was like, "Hey, man, there's no monster here." You know what I mean? I'm gonna roll until he tells me that something is wrong. He's gonna be there. There was a guy, I don't know if you remember. His name was Ramsey. Ramsey had some kind of neuro problem that he was kind of like twisted and stuff. And Ramsey was the same thing. He came in, he couldn't even walk correctly, and I treated him just like a normal person. One day I saw him in a tournament with a girlfriend driving and competing. I was like, "Ramsey, what are you doing here?" And "Man, this is my girlfriend. I can't believe you believe in me and stuff." And it's kind of like, right now it looks like, "Oh, Eddie, you did so much for me." But it was like, man, once you understand, it's like when you look at your daughter, you know what she's capable of. But maybe she won't believe it. "Daddy, I can do it." No, honey, you can ride a bicycle. "No, Daddy, it's too hard." And you're like, "Honey, once you get it, you won't forget it." And it's kind of like, and she's gonna, "You think so? You really think so, Daddy?" I'm sure, honey. I'm sure. I promise you. But sometimes the lack of sight blinds us. It's just like when we were talking about investment. For somebody that doesn't know much, he's like, "Man, that's another gimmick. All these things, I heard that 1,000 times. So this is not gonna work because they lack sight. You already seen it, you done it yourself, so you know it's capable, but they won't believe it. So what do? You're like, "No, man, you gotta trust me. Believe it." That was the main thing that we used to say at the class. Believe it. I know right now you don't understand what I'm saying, but you gotta believe it. Do you believe it?
I know. I remember finding a competition. He's like, "Believe it, go, man." Fucking amazing stories, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this with me. We never talked about this.
Yeah,
I
we
think,
never
other
did.
than
We never
great
did.
to be talking about show. But before we get continue to a little bit more in depth into your gym, bro, and
Yes.
your educational program, which is amazing, by the way.
Yes.
Do you like coffee?
Sure.
That wasn't very convincing.
Well, because the thing is, I'm gonna tell you the truth about coffee, right? So my grandpa was a really big guy on coffee, but the coffee that he used to make, it would be like a thing like this much sugar, this much coffee, and this much milk. So man, after I would drink this, Yeah, I would have like a heartburn for days, man.
No, but that
So,
we all grew up on shitty coffee, bro.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, but we're gonna change that today. We're gonna bring it out here, Italo, on the coffee time. Let's go.
All right.
Eddie,
All right, man.
dude, very nice meeting you.
Really nice to meet you, man.
Likewise. What's up?
What's up, man? Fuck, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to
Sorry.
serve him coffee. He's gonna choke me out if he's bad coffee.
Well, let's do this thing. If I like it, you gotta come to jiu-jitsu.
oh,
I
There
got
we
you,
go.
right?
There
I
we
was
go.
just listening to a story. One of my friends, he was like, hey, man, let me tell you a story. I used to work on people doing massage therapy or whatever. So I saw there was this new gym in town, and I called the guy, right? And I was like, hey, man, you know, I work with athletes and stuff. I was wondering if you guys would be interested in doing massages and stuff. And he was like, yeah, man, come here at 6. But you know what happens at 6? There's the class. The guy showed up to the gym, and he was like, hey, man, so I came here, you know, to work on your guys. He was like, no problem, man, take your shirt off. You were like, what? Take your shirt off? He was like, no, I don't think you was. He was like, man, take your shirt off and come to the mat. And the guy's like, whoa, okay. And so he took his shirt off, but he was like, that's weird. But then he was training and stuff, and he got this 300-pounder in a guillotine choke, which is a jiu-jitsu move. And he was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is crazy. So like he did a whole class. The class was finishing. He was like, hey man, can we talk about it? You're like, man, I'm tired now, man. Come back tomorrow at 12 noon, and then we can talk about it. But you know what happens at 12 noon? There was another class. I'm trying to do the same trick on Italo. And, and it almost worked, but I had to tell the story.
oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, be
risked
there
it.
6, man.
Be there at 6. But here's the thing, though.
Okay.
He's been asking me to go for the longest time. He's been telling me to go for a long time. Maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll
It's
go.
fun.
You know, the only reason why I have a limitation now with my finger, that's the only thing that scares me because this thing cannot bend backwards. I had
Okay.
surgery on it this year, but I wouldn't say I wouldn't go. I'll
Look,
probably go once.
limitations. You hear that?
No.
Limitations.
There's a limitation in
Limitations.
there, but because I did judo when I was young.
Okay.
Very quick story in here. I did judo when I was young,
Okay.
and I got to, I think like gray belt or something. But there was one competition, kind of like what you said, the YMCA,
Sure.
but it was a SESI,
Sure.
and it was like the interstate in Minas Gerais and all that
Alright.
stuff. I invited my family to go. It's like, hey, there's a big competition happening. They're like, no, we're doing barbecue at the home. You know, just go there and come back. So I went on my own. There were over 200 kids in there. And you see just people getting bodies slammed to the ground. I'm there like, what the actual F is happening here? Because my dojo, there was like 20 kids, you know? And now I'm seeing 200 kids, and they all look so fierce, man. These kids are looking at me like right through the eyes, like, I'm not used to this.
Yes.
They call my name up, and I go there. We salute each other, and that's the last thing I remember. This kid was so seasoned that the first thing he did was just threw me over his shoulder, but he got on his knees, so I hit my head on the floor. I wake up and I just see this light, and the guy's like, hey, dude, you're done. I was like, I get home with a participation trophy. I get home like this, and they're like, oh, did you win? I was like, yeah, I got second place. I was like, F y'all, you're not gonna make fun of me.
Yeah, of
you didn't go there. So
You
I'm not
didn't show out.
Right, I'm not
Why
gonna
would I
give,
tell you?
No, I'm not gonna give you that.
Participation show.
That was it for me, man. But that was it for me.
Yeah.
But dude, talk about coffee here now. Coffee.
All right.
Coffee stuff.
All right.
Your experience is no different than Neander's experience in my experience in
Sure.
Brazil. We thrive on sugar
That's right.
in bad coffee.
Sure.
Neander introduced me to good coffee. And today, I'm actually not gonna give you the saucer in there, just this will
All right.
probably do it.
All right.
So we're gonna have this together, Eddie.
All right.
And if you never had this type of coffee before,
Smells good.
It's gonna be different, very different than anything you had before. Drink it like you drink wine, like just slurp on it and let it sit in your mouth for like 2 seconds, and then you drink it.
Okay.
Okay? And then you let us know what you
All
think.
right.
Cheers.
Okay.
It's almost like a tea, right?
It tastes kind of like a tea, yeah.
But that's how coffee's supposed to be.
Oh.
Coffee is a fruit, and the fruit is sweet, right? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, in Brazil, when we grew up,
Yeah.
we
Cidreira coffee, right?
yeah, a lot of
tea,
a
right?
lot of the good coffee goes out to our other countries, dude. We
I
keep
see.
the
We
most
keep the
piece of
worst.
crap one, and they roast it really dark, and they burnt into a charcoal mode, pretty much. That's why people shove it with sugar and everything. But a
To mask
specialty,
it.
a specialty coffee, dude. We have a small micro lot there. It's like how much per pound?
It's like 120 grams is almost like 150 reais.
Oh wow.
yeah.
Versus
It's
1
really
kilo
good.
of
I
3
see.
hearts. That's like 10
Yeah.
bucks. Let me blow your mind right now. Sip on this coffee, let it sit on your mouth,
Okay.
and think about blueberries.
Blueberries.
Can you taste? You can be honest.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from this coffee. And it says right there, blueberries. This is insane.
The aftertaste, right?
Yeah. So you get notes of fruits in there that you're never gonna get from bad coffee. The coffee that your grandpa
Sure.
drank, the coffee that my mom drinks,
Sure.
the coffee that his family drank.
Yeah.
I mean, not his family, because his family grew up on good coffee.
Yeah.
So
Oh, really, dude? Like this was after the fact.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Where the religion that I came from, we couldn't drink coffee at all, and we used to drink
Like, no bullshit, I'm getting
corn
goosebumps.
coffee. They roast the coffee, the roasted corn, and we drink it as coffee, but it had no caffeine attached
holy
to it.
shit. It's
Yeah.
like your version of decaf.
Yeah, and I know. I need to find this corn coffee. We can try it. It was no cevada is different.
It's different.
This is corn. Cevada is actually the plant. They
Is
do
a plant.
coffee
Oh,
too,
okay.
but actually
Like the
there's
hops.
they do the same procedure as or process as the coffee, but they do with corn. It's disgusting. But anyway, on a scale to 0 to 10, what'd you say this?
I liked it. I would drink it.
Yeah,
Let's
you would
go.
drink it? There you go, man.
I would drink it.
Fuck, man. Say you don't like it. I don't have to do jiu-jitsu.
No, I said I would drink it. I liked it. No, did I say the wrong thing? Look.
No, because it said if you say you liked it, I have to go to jiu-jitsu.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Your trick was that I didn't like it, so you would have to go. Now you're in trouble. Show up at 6 to give us some coffee.
Bring us coffee at 6. Good stuff. Eddie, I want to hear more of your story, man. Like I said, I've always heard about you, great things about you, how much of a mentor you are to Neander. Neander is one of my good friends, like a brother. He's a mentor to me too. So he's always using your analogies, the things you taught him in a very crucial part of his life. And I've always listened to like very, very good stuff about you. And it's a pleasure to be here drinking coffee with you.
Hey, man. Pleasure's all mine. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you, man.
Let's go. Man,
Let's go.
Shit, I gotta do jiu-jitsu now.
Welcome to the corporate world, a place you go to every day against your will, with endless meetings. And worst of all, shitty coffee. Introducing Fuck Monday, a specialty coffee for those who want to kickstart the week with a better taste. A reminder to do your own thing or go after what's brewing in your head. Unless you're thinking of reading tarot cards for dogs or other dumb ideas like that. For everyone else, Fuck Monday, your daily dose of attitude.
Sensei, we can be talking here for hours, man, about
Yeah,
that
you
stuff.
could be talking a lot about a bunch of things. Yeah.
This is so great to me that you're here and, get to sip on a coffee. So talk to me a little bit about the business side, man. How does jiu-jitsu influences on the business side? Because I share my story, but I know you have a lot of other business owners because this podcast, a lot of entrepreneurs listen to it.
Sure.
Other people that have business or people that have investors and such. And how would that benefit on an everyday life of jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so when people usually they think about fighting when they think about fighting, they think about something dirty, right? Of people that are not very smart. Or when they think about martial arts, they think about, the stigma of karate and stuff, and they think jiu-jitsu is the same thing. But do we have time to talk a little bit
course,
background
man.
of the
Please
jiu-jitsu?
do it.
So
We have
jiu-jitsu is a
time.
very legit martial arts. And I think what it differentiates jiu-jitsu versus the other martial arts is the practicality. Not to say bad things about the other martial arts, but such as Taekwondo and some other ones, once they become a Olympic sport, they were about points. They were not about self-defense anymore. And they start losing kind of the idea of like how to make smaller people, children, and women be able to protect themselves against a bigger opponent. That's our goal. And it's kind of like really weird because then you go to a jiu-jitsu place and you see a bunch of people on the ground rolling around and you're like, how does that have to do with martial arts? So in Brazil, we have a word, say, a casca grossa, which means tough shell, and a casca fina, which means a soft shell. And what it means is basically when you start doing martial arts and you start training all the time, your body starts becoming stronger and you become a hard shell. So if you want to penetrate through, let's say, a worm, it's really easy, it's soft. But you go through the back of a turtle, its shell, it's not easy because it's hard. So when the turtle, the animal, is in danger, it goes inside of its shell and it's protected. Sometimes as business people, we think that our shell, our protection, we put our trust in the money alone. But even if you put your trust in the money alone, if you ever been to to a tourist place such as Las Vegas and stuff, or Italy, and you see usually older people are able to travel. And when you're older, you're also more tired. And people don't understand that by the time they are 40 years old, they're already out of high school for over 20 years. They think in their head they can go out there and if I want to sprint, I can sprint. I just don't want to. It is not true, man. If you try to sprint after 40 years old, you may fall and you may break your hip and you may be in big trouble. So the idea, this concept that we are our 20 years version of ourselves, just a little bit older and with more wrinkles, is not true. Our bodies start decaying. If you don't use it, you lose it. So it's really easy to say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to be on the treadmill and stuff. They have no idea what they are saying. It is not easy. You go to the treadmill for 20 minutes. Tell me the best show that you like, Friends. You go on the treadmill for how much is this? Like maybe 20 minutes, 15-minute show. That 15 minutes will feel like an hour and a half. And you're watching this, you're and your body's telling you, what are you doing, Yander? Your knees are broken, you're overweight and all these things. And you're like, man, I need to get out of here. It's almost like you're having a panic attack and you don't even understand what is going on. So the concept of going and doing exercise, it's pleasant and people always think, oh no, tomorrow I can do it. But they don't understand that even with all the money in the world, even to enjoy the money and success you have to have health. Health is not something, it's not negotiable. Health is the key to be present for your kids when they need you. Is to be there for your wife, when she needs help. It's like you can have the most beautiful wife. If you're going to die tomorrow, she's going to marry somebody else. I bet if people saw it this way, they would be running. And there'll be a line so big by my gym that we wouldn't be able to take as many customers as we could. Because people would understand that it's kind of like, yeah, man, health is unnegotiable. It's not negotiable, non-negotiable because there's no tomorrow. You got to start today. And I'm not I'm not trying to sell jiu-jitsu. I'm talking about can you go to a walk? Yeah, I can go to a walk. Eddie, I exercise. I go to walk 3 times a week. Man, that's nothing. And I know it sounds really harsh, but it's like I need to be able to tell your listeners that it's kind of like, man, don't just do martial arts. Don't just do physical exercise. Do your physical exercise. Take care of your family money-wise, because just like martial arts, you want to grow, you need to grow up monetarily, physically, mentally, spiritually. You have to take care. But all these people, I'm just spiritual. Then they don't live here. They just live the next. I'm just physical. Then you can all provide for your family. I'm just seeking the money, chasing the money. Okay, you chase the money, but now you have health. Like imagine a guy like Elon Musk, a guy like Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg is one of the biggest commercial for jiu-jitsu we have nowadays. This guy loves jiu-jitsu. This guy is training jiu-jitsu. He shows up to all the UFC, sees shows and stuff. He trains with the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world. This guy has a network of around $200 billion. For you to have an idea what $200 billion is if he were spending $50,000 a day, you would take him over 100 and some. Man, it's uncalculated how long this guy could waste money. So it's kind of like, okay, why is this guy doing jiu-jitsu? It's because he understood that even with all the money in the world, you still need to seek a way to be healthy. You still need to find a way to do cardio. You still need to find a way to something that arouses your intellect as well as your physical abilities.
100%, man. That's a good way of analogy. Because on jiu-jitsu, for me, my experience is that it's challenging your physical in a way that you have to survive, right? I remember the first few days, like somebody's choking you, like you're gonna, or either you're gonna tap. Remember those 3 things,
Yes.
like or either you're gonna tap or you're gonna go to sleep, man.
Tap, Snap or nap. So imagine you have a big problem and your wife is angry with you. And now you're at the gym and somebody is strangling you. I know it sounds horrible, the word strangling, but it's okay in jiu-jitsu. Are you going to have time to think about your problem?
100%.
No. So when you come in the gym, you have the problem. When you come out, you don't have a problem because you're worried about, you have to prioritize the most important problem. The most important problem is to survive. So once you survive, now you go, now your problem is much smaller. You are even more humble to tell, hey man, you know what, honey, I fucked up. I'm sorry. So that makes you a better husband. Yeah. I know it sounds so crazy. Like, what does jiu-jitsu would have to do with your relationship? Everything.
Because you have a escape valve.
That's right. So the wives usually push their husbands, hey man, you know, you need to go. Yeah, you need to go there because you're becoming, you know, we as men at our age, Neander, we start going into politics and we start getting grumpy and we start like, man, if we don't have escape valve, we're going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's really important if you know, to have something that will not only humble you, but it's kind of like, think about a line. It brings, like, let's say you're going away from the goal or whatever, then you come back. It just brings you back. If you're down, you come back up. Without talking about, you know, we have the records of the most panic attacks, depression, you know, all this sort of mental diseases and stuff that it could be associated with, you know, mental imbalance or chemical imbalances and stuff. But I really, truly believe that exercise is the best thing to prevent and to fight against those kind of things because they will happen to us, Neander. Do you know why it happens to us? Because a lot of times we dream about having a thing. Like when you're young and you're playing the saxophone, you're doing for fun. But at one point you're like, man, I want to be the best saxophone player there is. And then you go there and you achieve all your goals. And now what? And that kind of mess you up to a point that you're like, man, I'm tasting this coffee and this delicious coffee has no taste. You know, like nothing matters. And you're like, man, what is this life about? What is the meaning of life? And you start going crazy.
Yeah.
That's that because like you were like, man, I spent all my whole life trying to chase this dream and it didn't change what I feel inside. Justin Bieber was like, man, the first time I got a Ferrari, I was like, man, look at this Ferrari. Look at, man, he would bring his friend. He was like, man, look at this glove box. Look, he would open the glove box. Oh my gosh. And then 1 week has passed. He was like, man, I can't stand this car. I cannot even see well out of this car. You know, I cannot even drive this car. But imagine, some of us, we work so hard for others. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Ferrari, but it's like what keeps us alive and what keeps us pushing, what keeps us moving forward. You know, you are always a guy that you are driven, but a lot of people are not driven. Sometimes this can come through the person. Sometimes he needs to be in a room full of athletes and animals pushing you forward to keep you okay. I need to, man, I'm not going to let, you remember Cameron, right? You go there and if you're not ready, this guy is a skinny guy. He's like, oh man, he's going to kick your ass, man.
100%. And shout out to Cameron, bro. I remember we started very well together, and the guy, you know, is doing amazing kick. I miss you guys, man. I want to come down and see. Brother, talk to me about, real quick, about how did the business side of it started? Mm-hmm. You were training, working for others, became no more fun, but it was like, this is the time that I'm going to open my gym. When was that?
Yeah, so I was working, first I worked for this guy, Carlos Machado, amazing guy. Like Carlos Machado is one of the best guys I have ever met. And he was actually the nephew of the founder of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So this guy was like as close as you get to the source as possible. And I love this
history there.
Yeah, I love the guy, and he's amazing. And he has so many stories like me, much more. You just want to sit down and hear this guy. He's amazing. And then once I left Carlos, I was teaching at a few places, but I started to teach out of my garage. We call it the house of pain. You know, he was the garage. He was like very intense little place, but he was like here in Texas. So, you know, the summers get 100 and something degrees. Holy shit. But I found some crazy guys. People love jiu-jitsu so much that I found some people that were willing to go there to that garage. And I have these guys, these really rich guys, man. One of my customers, He had a Ferrari and stuff. And he used to go there to train at that garage. There was no AC, nothing. That was a fan this little that I bought at Walmart for $15. And people were going there. I was running a kids class there, man. And like the parents were bringing the kid. It was crazy. So then I started teaching at this place called Saxon, who's an amazing Muay Thai guy too. And then I built enough clientele to move to the place that you started. And then I moved to this place where I am for 11 years. Now we have 4 other Cobras. We have a Cobra.
Shit, it's been 11 years?
Yeah. Well, in this new place, yeah.
Oh my God.
Altogether, I think 16 years with the Cobra. Cobra's been open for 16 years. We have Cobra's Mansfield, Cobra Alabama. We have Cobra Chelsea, another place in Alabama. And it's so crazy when you go there and it feels like we are just like at our gym.
Really?
Because it's the same exact feeling. The idea is to give, just like this coffee was an experience for me. I love experiences. I think life is about experiences. When a person goes in, he has to have an experience. You know, he needs to go in and live differently than when he walked in. And it's the same feeling that you would have in Alabama, Tuscaloosa, where is the Alabama State University, and Chelsea, which is close to Birmingham, in Mansfield, which is Chris Scott and Jeff Scott, the big guys. They run that one. Curtis runs the Alabama one.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
all
so
those
you
guys,
know all
man.
these
Shout out
people.
about all those
Yes,
guys, man. Fucking awesome, dude.
I'm so proud of them. Yes,
that's awesome.
And you know, opening those gyms, and our gym is really successful. It's going really well. As you just like you, right? It's you build a personal. When you're training with somebody and you're going to tournaments with people, you build a kind of a camaraderie that I don't know if you realize or not, but you spend maybe more time with me than some of your family members.
Sure.
So it's not a normal friendship. There's a lot of trust involved. When somebody's choking you out and you actually trust the person enough that he's going to stop, you build a different kind of friendship. Nowadays, it's kind of like these guys are not just my friends. They are my brothers, right? So it's like I know they have full trust on me too. Jessica, who's getting married, I'm going to be officiating her wedding in 2 weeks. So I gave a bunch of black belts, but never have I married a person. She wants me to do her wedding. And I don't know why I was like, I don't know who's crazier, you for inviting me to do your wedding or me for accepting to do it.
Dude, it's a great fit, especially me knowing the story behind it, dude. It's amazing.
So you know, Jessica, you know I've been there the whole time.
100%.
I'm the person that most invested in this wedding because I know her. I know her struggles. I know where she's been. And I met the guy. I love the guy. I was like, man, if I was doing an interview with you marrying my daughter, I would be so happy.
There's a guy you choose.
That's the guy I would choose. Because he just answered everything correctly.
But see, dude, that's the power of a mentor, right?
Sure.
It's not just a business. It's not just about anything else, you know? And listening to you today, talking about your story, about how they started fun and passionate about it. And when you're so passionate, but you, bro, you have the heart of a mentor,
sure,
a heart of a teacher. And that is amazing.
And do you know what's crazy?
You know, impacting people's lives.
And you know what's crazy? When I was little, you're talking about the church. I have a bunch of cousins. And I was the least likely to be in the church. When people
remember,
you know,
dog.
You know, that's what I'm saying. When the people said Eddie, they would start laughing. Because I was the guy that was doing everything wrong. So if somebody was like, hey man, who's less likely to be at the church, I would be the first one in line. Because you remember, we went to a camping, man, we terrorized the camping. We fled the pastor's tire. I was the guy that would be like, hey man, let's go throw some eggs at the pastor's house. And they go, who's with me? And people, yay! But man, life is crazy that even messed up people can do amazing things. And once you start seeing the difference of what that you can do, doesn't matter what your start became or where you come from, but when you see what you can do with the experience that you have doing the wrong things, I can tell people, I'm like, hey man, don't be doing this thing, man. That's not good for you. When I tell my teenage guys, I'm like, hey man, let me tell you something. First of all, every time you're gonna make a decision, there's 2 things you cannot solve: death or prison. So don't do anything that you can go to jail, or don't do anything that you can end up that. Everything else we can fix. So they are not big problems. As long as you keep doing jiu-jitsu, you're gonna be fine. And that's what happened to Jessica. Let me just share you a quick story about Jessica, because it's somebody I'm gonna do her wedding and stuff, and you know her really well. Jessica, man, went from being from a small town in Amarillo to be she started learning how to be security and stuff, learning how to drive fast cars, use all sorts of guns and stuff. And she was doing top executive security. I cannot say the names because she has an NDA, of the richest people in the world, the people that you hear on the news. She was the main security person for the #1 singer, female singer in the world. She traveled over 19 countries, over 40 states. Man, she lived from a small town. She said, man, Amarillo was a very small town. If I stay there, I would become a statistics. But I just, like, once I met you and stuff, I knew that all I have to do was stick to jiu-jitsu and keep pushing forward. But never in my life did I think I was gonna have access to the most, like, she met presidents. She was like, man, I was, I cannot drop the names, but like, you would be like, man, this guy's nice, this guy's not nice. But that wasn't the point. She was like, with the experience that she had, she could sniff out the bad people versus the good people. Because imagine you're doing a concert for someone, and now your dancers want to go hang out and party and do all these wrong things. But if they party, they are not able to fulfill their job. So her job was not only to protect the main singer, it was to protect the entourage and stuff and make sure they don't get in trouble. But we are talking about different countries. We're talking South Africa, Italy, France, and all these other things. So like, you think like, oh no, I'm only gonna do these big things when I'm doing big things. And they forget that the big things starts right here in Plano in a small gym, maybe in a garage. So in the minor leagues is where you get prepared for the big leagues. You were playing in your saxophone in your room by yourself until you're playing for thousands of people, but you would never know. But people, the new people, like you said, instant gratification, they want to start already with the top.
Yeah.
But you can't. You got to start with one building, one multiple house building, right?
Multi-family apartment.
Yeah, there you go.
That's 100% right.
And now, of course, we think by the way that things are going, that we are going to have 10 more Cobras in the next 3-4 years, right? Because total 10, we have 4 now. We're gonna be 10 in the next, because the people that show interest on open a gym. And right now, I'm with this team. It's called the Guardian Project. So the Guardian Project is something that it's something very, very precious for me, because it's a non-profit organization to help the unprivileged kids.
Oh wow!
So through the art of jiu-jitsu, we want to give the same kind of teachings and mentorship for kids that, let's say you don't have a father, or you lost your father when he was little. Well, when this happens, man, you kind of like, not that you're handicapped, but you mentally, you need a father figure in your life to give you some good tips and to be there and to show you, hey man, I know life is tough, but like, stealing this thing is not gonna make life easier. It's actually gonna make it even worse. So be honest, even when nobody's watching, sometimes he needs a father figure to tell the person 100%. And set the person straight from the beginning. So this program is a program for kids who cannot afford, not the person that, hey, I'm looking for jiu-jitsu and I'm just trying to get a cheaper price. No, It's for people that cannot afford to do jiu-jitsu, to be included and to be mentored into becoming better citizens.
And imagine all the difference and the impact lives that you've done with all the students, man. I can count at least a few that I know versus the one that I don't know. But that's a great fit, man. A great program.
And sometimes it's just getting out of the house is the main thing, right? We have remember Amar, and our friend and stuff that was there, met his wife there at Cobra. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like
he met him at Cobra.
I think he met her at Cobra.
Holy shit, that's awesome, dude! I did not know that. But I remember that.
So it's kind of like, but this is the guy who was playing in the night and could meet a lot of people. So there's a lot of stories that you have no idea that directly or indirectly had to do with the gym. And it's not like I'm bragging about it. I'm just, man, we got to be vessels to do. We either do good or bad with the things we do. It's 2 choices, man. And
and that's Eddie from the camp that I know.
That's right. We do 2 things, man. We either do good things or we do bad things. So sometimes when you talk about martial arts, you talk about fighting, you usually think about destruction, but I think about building people up. I think about improving and enhancing people's lives.
So how can people find Cobra?
They can go to www.cobrabjj.com. That's the easiest ways to find us. Or they can go online on Instagram, Facebook, Cobra BJJ, stands for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Check it out, guys. If you're in Dallas or in Alabama or Mansfield as well, check it out. This is amazing people that I personally know and literally changed my life and changed a lot of other people's lives as well. But this time around, bro, we're going to ask you some questions, man.
Sure.
Let's go. Spinning the beans with Eddie. Let's go.
All right.
Ready, bro?
I'm ready.
Sharing wisdom or gaining knowledge?
You can only share if you gain the knowledge.
We got some insights today, man. Everybody here today is very insightful comments here. All right. Quality of life or quantity of accomplishments? Quality of life or quantity of accomplishments?
It's. I feel like the person who has, it's the same thing, because the person who has a quality of life usually has accomplished a lot of things, whether they, you know, like if they didn't get married and their dream is to have a family, they still got to achieve the family. So, you know, how can they have quality of life? It's just they were just sitting around and, you know, not doing anything.
All right. Strong values or open-mindedness?
If you have strong values, sometimes you can be set on your ways and you cannot create anything new. And if you have open-mindedness alone, you don't have any values, that's horrible, man.
Learning from failures or avoiding failures altogether?
Learning for failures.
Building relationships through vulnerability or through strength?
Strength.
Finding peace in solitude or thriving in company?
Company.
Giving 100% to one project or balancing multiple projects at once?
Giving 100% to one project.
Jiu-Jitsu or karate?
Coffee or tea?
That's a question here, no doubt, bro. Coffee or tea?
It used to be tea, now I'm gonna go with coffee.
Let's go! That's spilling the bean with Eddie. Bro, thank you so much for coming, man. It means a lot to me personally because I often say, I said on webinars, I said to some of my team members, I said to my friends, I said to my family, how much the martial arts and from your gym, no martial arts, your gym, Cobra BJJ, along with you, along with Eder,
Yes.
and along with the other folks that's still there and being part of your peer, you know, your group, your ecosystem. I want to say personally, thank you for that. I inherited a little bit from my dad, a kind of a anger management problem. You know what I'm saying? I used to be a very explosive guy. Trusted the monster is still there,
Sure,
but like,
sure.
you know, he helped me calm down for my joy at that time. I really needed it, you know, and today I'm a different person. I'm a better person, and all because of that. So thank you.
Neander, it was a pleasure to be here. It was a pleasure being your friend, training with you, being your teacher. It's like when people, when people are not training, but I see them moving forward like you, having the desire, having the, you know, you are a person that you always wanted to go forward. You always wanted to excel. You are very intelligent. First of all, you're a very intelligent guy.
Yeah.
But just intelligence alone is not enough. You know, some people are capable. There was a guy, I don't know if you met, but a guy from Rich Farmers Branch. His name was Isaiah, right, in English. He was really smart, but he didn't have the drive that you had. You were always very, very intelligent, very smart, but you always had drive. So I knew great things was gonna come. So being able to be here, sitting with you today, participating for your show is my honor, and I couldn't be happier. And when you call me, be like, "Hey man, would you like to be?" I was like, "Yes," because it's my pleasure. It's an honor to be sitting right next to you,
Brother. And if you have to say advice to yourself, what would you have to say to younger self or
to my younger self? If I were to my younger self and I told him, "Hey Eddie, all the experiences that you're gonna do, all the countries that you would travel to, all the amazing people that I would, you know, I would have met, I think my little Eddie head would explode because I was a jokester. I didn't. It's not that I expect little from myself, but I was like, I see all these people with all these amazing qualities, and you just look around and you just admire. You can help to admire other people, but the other people admire us. So it's kind of like, instead of focus on the things you do not have, focus on the things that you do have. You don't have to be a martial artist to be happy. You don't have to be a business person to be happy, but you need to be moving. You need to be moving forward. You need to be doing something, and you cannot think about doing less. So if I told my younger self something, by the way, I'm practicing piano with Zile, and I would probably tell him to practice piano because I love it. I admire Dante a lot. I admire you a lot with all the instruments that you play. And that's my hobby, right? So I do jiu-jitsu, but my hobby is to become like you guys. And my younger self, I would say, man, believe in yourself and just be patient, because you can never beat a patient person. A patient person is unbeatable.
Let's go, guys. This is the real grind you learned today from my personal friend and awesome coach sensei from Cobra BJJ. Let's go.
Woo! I don't know. I'm no black belt, man, but I got my gear right now. This is what I'm gonna wear to that BJJ training facility with Eddie right there. This guy is amazing. Do you have a mentor in your life? Do you have somebody that is leading you on the right path, that can pretty much squeeze everything, all that good juice that you have on you, but you just don't know? Now is the time. This episode is sponsored by F Monday, your source of amazing coffee, fmonday.com. That's where you're gonna find amazing coffee, the coffees that we drink here at the podcast. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Music, you name it, we're there for you to share amazing stories like this one with you. Give us a like on Instagram. Your support is always very, very appreciated. And again, this is the real grind. Let's go.
Waking up to success, now we're getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on gourmet coffee, the real grind. This is the real grind. Let's go.